Hey guys, okay, so, I thought that it might be a fun video idea to, um, read some fan fiction. This was just a random one that I found online on Wattpad. I'm gonna start with one chapter, and if you want more, let me know, and then I'll film chapter 2, chapter 3, so on, as long as you guys are giving me feedback and wanting more. So, this one is called The Alpha and the Omega. Let's start reading. Okay, so chapter 1. It all started when a group of friends decided to go to a club. Now, this was no ordinary group of friends. It could be argued, however, that this was no ordinary club either. The group contained 2 alphas, 2 omegas, and 1 beta. They, of course, went to a group that consisted of others like them. Avi, the pack leader, decided on 2 hours at the club to ensure that nothing could go wrong from being out too long. It was in the best interest to protect his pack and lead them away from disaster. Avi's second command was the other alpha in the pack, Scott. Scott was allowed to make his own choices for the benefit of the pack, but was to tell Avi immediately about anything he was unsure of. Scott took into his own hands the safety of the Omega in the pack, for personal reasons. Mitch was Scott's first concern, because as a male Omega, Mitch was very rare and therefore very pursued by other alphas. Scott and Mitch had a good connection, which proves to be very useful when Mitch is able to trust both Scott and Avi to protect him. With Scott paying extra attention to the male Omega, Avi makes sure to stay very concerned for Kirsty's safety. As a female Omega, she was less rare, but still very pursued by other alphas. Kevin was the beta, and he didn't mind the attention the alphas gave to the omegas. He just hoped he wasn't useless to his pack. Kevin did what he could to keep order within the group without stepping out of line. The pack entered the club and soon dispersed. Avi kept an eye on each of them, but mainly Kirsty and Kevin because he trusted Scott to care for Mitch. Avi still wanted the 2, but also still kept his faith in Scott. Kirsty and Kevin had found the dance floor and were dancing wildly to an energetic song. Avi decided he needed to loosen up and join them. Soon, Mitch came over to dance too, with Scott following close behind. Avi smiled when he saw Scott so close to Mitch. He actually looked pretty intimidating, and Avi was proud to call him his second leader. Avi checked his phone to see that they had less than a half hour to continue this. Everything had gone well, and he was glad he made the choice to bring them here. He glanced around at his pack again, smiling at Kirsty and Kevin, having so much fun. The smile on Kirsty's face actually brought a smile to Avi's, just by looking at it. Avi saw Scott lean down so Mitch could whisper something in his ear. Scott then held up one finger to tell him to wait, before he walked over to Avi. This is probably a stupid question, but do I have to walk him to the bathroom too? And go in and stuff? It's not that I'm slacking on my responsibilities. I'd do anything for him. I just don't want him to feel suffocated. Avi thought a moment, and then looked back at Scott. Just wait outside the bathroom door and pay close attention. Anything sounds strange, and you go in. He trusts you a lot, Scott. You'll know if something is wrong. Scott nodded and walked away. Avi turned back to watch the 2 dancing. He considered letting them all stay a bit longer, but then shook his head at his silliness. If I don't stick to my own rules, how can I expect my pack to? Avi approached them and told them to get ready to leave. As soon as Scott and Mitchell came back, we are leaving. Understood? They both silently nodded. Scott watched Mitch go into the bathroom and then leaned on the wall outside the door. He'll be fine. Calm down. Scott listened for anything that would tell him Mitch wasn't okay. Nothing came. He was just beginning to relax when he sensed it. Fear. Was it Mitch? He didn't know, but he didn't wait around to find out. Scott ran through the doors and to the bathroom to find Mitch cornered by a very arrogant alpha. Scott hesitated for a short second before he calmly walked up to the alpha. Excuse me, I think you're scaring my Omega. The man turned and glared at Scott. Your Omega? He isn't marked. You haven't claimed him yet. so I have as much right as you do. Scott thought about that for a minute. He's right. Plan B. Scott stood a little taller and set his jaw. He mustered up the strongest alpha voice he could find. All right, well, try taking him from me. I dare you. The other alpha took one more look at Mitch before turning to Scott. He isn't even worth it. He walked out, making sure to slam into Scott's shoulder on his way. Scott held his ground, though, as he had more important things to worry about. Scott instantly ran over to where Mitch was cowering in the corner. Are you all right? Mitch nodded before throwing himself into Scott's arms. Thank you, Alpha. Scott was surprised by this, but held him nonetheless. I'll always protect you, darling. Let's get you back to Avi, okay? Mitch nodded and let go. He had barely cracked the door open before he turned around. Scott, I'm scared. Scott smiled at him and took Mitch's hand in his own. You have nothing to be afraid of, not while I'm around. Mitch let himself be led out of the bathroom and through the crowd toward where his pack was waiting by the door. Avi looked at Scott expectantly. Everything went well? Scott looked down at Mitch before answering. Yes. Are we all ready to leave? Avi nodded. Let's go. They all followed their strong leader out the door and to the car. Scott was helping Mitch into the back seat. When Mitch looked at Scott, he quietly asked, Do you promise? Scott tilted his head. Promise what? That I'm always safe around you? Yes, love. I promise. Okay, so I tried not to look for Squamish one, but that still kind of turned out to be Squamish. I really liked that, though. The characters were very set up to where they should be. Like, it really, like, described each one well. And it wasn't some, like, outlandish, well, okay, it wasn't some, like, way off base story. Of course, being about vampires, alphas, and omegas, it was out there, but, that was really the only thing that wasn't, like, real, you know. I think the characters were very well set to the members, and, I feel like it's kind of cool to see them as, like, this different creature, but still be themselves, you know. So, yeah, if you guys want more, let me know, and I will film the second chapter. But, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, as always, and I'll see you next time.